And before we begin our webinar today, of course, it's important to acknowledge our traditional lands. So at Royal Roads University, we acknowledge that the campus is located on the traditional lands of the Lekwungen peoples, the Songhees and the Esquimalt First Nations. And of course, it's with gratitude that we learn and work here, where the past, present, and future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, staff, and faculty come together. So I'm pleased to be with you, and thank you all for being here. And of course, the reason we're all here today is to explore the Master of Arts in Intercultural and International Communication, joined by some fabulous folks today. My name is Ariana Konjerski. I am an education specialist at Royal Roads University. I'm joined today by Dr. Zhenyi Li, who is the school director for the School of Communication and Culture, and Dr. Deniz Unsal, who is the MAIIC on-campus program head. James Gatiti and Adela Adhya, who are MAIIC alumni. And as I said, my name is Ariana. So we have some wonderful folks as we go along. They'll introduce themselves as well. And just a brief agenda, folks, before we get started here today. So I'm going to give us a brief overview of the Royal Roads University experience. We'll do some program-specific information first, so you can get all of the details on the program. We'll do a Q&A with James and Adela, which will be fantastic, have some discussion. We'll talk a little bit about the application process, and then if you have any questions, of course, feel free to post them throughout in the chat, or you can also ask questions at the end too. And in case you're not familiar with our location, I'll start us off with a little bit of information on Victoria, BC. So we are located at the very west coast of Canada, just off the coast of Vancouver. Our closest large cities are Vancouver and Seattle. And then we have the population numbers for Canada, Vancouver Island, Greater Victoria, and Metro Victoria as well. So you can get an idea of the size of where we are. Our top three industries are advanced technology, tourism and hospitality, and education, of course. And we also are very proud to have one of the mildest climates in Canada. So in the winter, it is about 6 degrees, and then we have a 25-degree summer. So nice and beautiful all year round without too harsh winters like other parts of Canada, which is a big plus. We also have won a number of awards. So I just updated this list yesterday, and the awards list goes on and on forever. But some of the recent awards that we have are the Good Housekeeping 2024 Family Travel Awards for a must-see city, #1 city in the world by Condé Nast Travelers Reader's Choice Awards in 2023, and also #1 best small city in the world by Condé Nast. So some wonderful accolades. That just goes to show you what a beautiful place Victoria is. So you'll have to possibly come see it for yourself. And just some photos of our space here at Royal Roads, just so we can kind of see what the space is like. So to the top left, you may have seen this building before, and that is our wonderful Hatley Castle. That's been a famous movie set in many, many movies like X-Men and Deadpool, so you may have seen that in films and TV. Just to the right of that, you'll see we have our Japanese garden, and that's one of the many gardens that we have on campus. A lot of gardens and trail spaces. It's a really, really beautiful place to be. And then to the bottom left of the screen, you'll see our Esquimalt Lagoon. This is a migratory bird sanctuary that we have on campus. It's a really beautiful place to just walk by the water and see all the beauty that we have here. And then you'll see to the bottom right, we also have an homage to our online and blended learning styles that we are famous for here at Royal Roads. So that's just a little representation of that. You might be asking yourself, why explore Royal Roads? What makes us so different to all of the other universities that are out there? So at Royal Roads, we like to see life as a qualification, really taking into account your work experience, life experience, and we'll hear firsthand from our graduates later. Of course, professors who know your name, you're really getting to know the people who are instructing you on a day-to-day, not just a student number, but really getting that kind of one-on-one personal connection with your professors, which is pretty cool. Basing our learning on life, so keeping everything that we learn in the classroom really applicable to kind of what's going on in the world, which is a huge plus. Making those connections for life. So at Royal Roads, we work on a cohort-based model. So you're traveling kind of with the same group throughout your program. And that's something that's pretty cool because you're really making those connections that you can use in your personal and professional life throughout your career. And we like to think from day one, we were built differently. So we have an online and blended learning style that was being done long before COVID, and many organizations and universities pivoted to online. We've been doing that for over 25 years. And with that, folks, I will stop talking for now, and I will pass it off to Zhenyi and Deniz to talk a little bit about the program structure.
All right. Well, thank you. Um, for those just got online, I'd like to share with you, what's how we organize, what's the courses and how we organize the program. Let me see. Basically, this is a 33 credit course-based program. And we understand that many of you have busy life style and also would like to continue your work, your life when you're studying with us. So we offer a lot of flexibility in this structure, and we divide our courses into modules which they are interconnected, and you can stack all the modules until you collect all the credits and graduate from us. And in each module, we have 2 or 3 courses balanced between theory and practice. So if say in module 1, we have 2 courses, then one is more theory oriented and another very much focusing on practice, because the nature of the intercultural studies in this discipline is both, emphasizing both theory, radical development, and practice for everyday, professionals. And we also very much emphasize the experiential components in our learning, and we take students for field studies, and we send students to their learning projects. And so basically you are learning and you're doing at the same time. And as I mentioned, we have 2 capstone options for you to conclude your study. One is the learning project, which is very much practical, and another is the research paper, which is more academic and theoretical. So basically, we will start with a 1-week orientation, and which is completely online. You can complete that by yourself. And then we will continue in year 1 with 3 modules and an anchor course, the graduate seminar 638. And we will continue for another year or another half year. It depends which program you're in. I will get to that very soon to help you to conclude Module 4 and the last anchor course. Module 4 has 2 streams, A and B, which will rotate in odd and even years. And you can also see Module 4A and B offers similar and different courses, and it really depends which year you enter our program. And the year 1 course is listed here, and you also have the web page to read more about the course description, introduction. And this is year 2 courses. When we say year 1, year 2, it's not exactly will take you a full year to study. And I will introduce, when we, especially for the on-campus cohorts, it's shorter. So this is an example, a sample schedule for a blended 24 months program. And blended means the student will spend part of their time on campus, but most of their time online. And so that's face-to-face and online blended. And it takes longer for students to complete this course, this program, because it's slower in a way that we offer many courses or 1 course at a time. And it takes 24 months for a student to complete this course, this program. And we also will offer, if we also will offer an 18 months face-to-face on-campus option for those who like to complete this program faster, and also for those who prefer to study in regular classroom, less online components, and you have your teacher, your classmates studying together in a classroom. And so Lisa just posted the on-campus schedule in our chat box, and you can click the link and you can read those. It's your choice if you are interested in the blended one or the on-campus one, and we have time in our Q&A session to discuss about the similarities and differences, and our alumni also will share their experience with you regarding different ways of studying in our program. For those who haven't yet decided whether they like to invest the next 1.5 or 2 years to study with us, there's an option for you. We call that Graduate Certificate in Strategic Global Communication, which has 3 courses. And those 3 courses are identical with our first module in our master's program. And so basically you will study together with our master students for the first 3 courses, for the first 9 credits. And then you can consider if you like to apply for the master's program, or you will stop there, you take a break, and you will join us later. And this gives you more flexibility to test the water and to see if this is the exact program for you to continue with us, or if you like to collect those credits, transfer those credits to another master's program at Royal Roads. And we have many students try that approach, and they find it's very much helpful for them because I understand it's a big commitment, and you start with a graduate certificate. You won't lose anything, but you have more options for you to consider. All right, I will pass the stage back to Ariana and Deniz and our alumni.
Thank you, Zhenyi. Thank you. So I am Deniz Unsal. I am the program head for the on-campus version of MAIC. And I have the pleasure to see the students on campus every year. They arrive in September, all fresh and excited. And we get to know each other, we work together. And when they're graduating 18 months later, it's really a festival. Because they work hard, they go through all kinds of, experiences in the classroom, outside the classroom, field trips, guest speakers, team assignments, and it's wonderful to see them graduate. So now we have 2 graduates here who have recently graduated from the on-campus program, and I had the pleasure to learn with them in the classroom. So thank you very much, James and Adela, for joining us. I would like to now ask you a few questions to talk about your experience, your insights, because I think there's nothing better than learning from the graduates themselves. And so I'd like to start with James. James, tell us about who you are, about yourself, and why you chose to come to Royal Roads and chose MAIC.
Of course. Thank you, Denise. And thank you once again, everybody, for joining this amazing session. So as Denise has mentioned, my name is James Gatiti, and I am a recent proud alumni of the MAIC program. And just a bit of a brief about myself. I'm a communication professional, having nurtured my experience over 12 years through publishing, marketing, and most recently, I've been working towards advocacy a lot. Now, why I chose RRU for me basically was I had a sister that had gone through a master's program in RRU, and so she obviously gave me a bit of insight about the university, about the location, about the programs, and about the accreditation. So when I did my own due diligence and I got to understand more about the university, and during the whole process, communicating with the international team and getting to find out more information, I realized that when I made the decision to go back to school and pursue my master's program, that Royal Roads would be the university that I wanted to choose. And why I chose the course is, for me, it was very clear. Based on my career trajectory, I knew I was going to do communications, but like communication is broad. There was various other options I could have chosen from Royal Roads. There is a master's program in professional communication that I was also considering. However, I've been in the global trade for the majority of my professional career, and I wanted a course that would be able to help me understand how to communicate effectively on a global context. And that involved having to understand the cultural aspect of it, because I wanted a course that was able to help me understand how can I communicate professionally in a cultural diverse capacity. And when I searched around, this was the only program of its own that had that particular content, whereby they're not teaching you just about understanding international communications, but also understanding international communications in a global context, and having to communicating in a way that creates an understanding within cultural diversities. So with me, when I understood that and I got to learn more about the program, I realized this is exactly what I wanted to do, because moving forward in my career in global communications, I realized that this is the path that I want to take, and I knew that this was the right program for me, Deniz.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, James. Well, how about you, Adela? What brought you to MAIC? Can you share a bit about yourself?
Thank you, Deniz, and thanks, James. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're tuning in. So happy to see you all. And thank you for the question, Deniz. It's a beautiful starter. So my name is Adela Adhya, and personally, I'm passionate about communication, storytelling, in the form of written form or through sound alchemy. I currently work at the Community Social Planning Council here in Victoria as a communications coordinator. And they're a nonprofit organization who are aligned towards bringing people together and ideas to build sustainable and thriving communities. So prior to RRU, I was a senior communication analyst at Deloitte, and my work focused on EDIB and talent communications. So what specifically drew me to this particular program? I can say for sure that this program definitely caught my attention, and I reached a point in my career, like I mentioned, when I was in Deloitte, where I wanted to learn more about how different cultures, organizations communicated across the globe. What were different stories or narratives that were shared across the globe? And this program, there was 3 specific courses that stood out for me while I was doing my research and on the website. One was the Intercultural Theory and Practice, and an Intercultural Communication Competence, and Global Thought and Communication. So this kind of gave me an opportunity to bridge my practical learnings with a theoretical foundation. And it was an opportunity for me to sharpen that learning from really, I would say, well-informed and absolutely faculties who were so good at what they did. And I was like, okay, this is the time to step into an international zone. And that's the reason, let's say, as to why I chose RRU specifically. Having studied at RRU on campus, I can say for sure that the university's focus on diversity inclusion, specifically the environment itself, filled with people from diverse backgrounds, cultures, age groups, that kind of made a significant difference in the learning journey. And I cannot miss appreciating the campus itself, how RRU is beautifully placed on the indigenous lands of the Kwasapsan and Lakwangan families, surrounded by the forest of the old growth trees. And more importantly, I had the really good opportunity to connect with one of the alumni before joining this course. And they also had really good practical experience that they had throughout the journey. So that kind of elevated my my decision to join RRU on this specific course. And back to you, Deniz.
Thank you, Adela. So you both were actually working, right? So you didn't come out straight out of your bachelor degree to the master's program. You already were in the workforce and working. So, what questions or maybe concerns did you have about returning to school and sitting in classrooms, assignments, deadlines? James.
Okay, first of all, thank you again. For me, it was, as I mentioned earlier, for me, the main challenge that I had was trying to transition between being a professional and having a mindset of a working professional, having to transition now into academics, because you need to understand that as much as communication is something that is universal, there's differences between how you approach communications from an organizational point of view or a work point of view, and academics as well. So for me, it was just that transition. I didn't know whether 20 years off the classroom, whether I'd be able to fit in and how I would be able to handle that transition, because obviously I was nervous. I knew that I was going to meet people from different career paths. Maybe like there are those who've just graduated from their bachelor's, those who are joining maybe based on their professional experiences. And so you didn't really know. So mine was fitting in and just trying to figure out whether I'll be able to transition and focus my mind from being in the professional environment to now having an academic mindset, and knowing that for the next 18 or so months, I will be focused on just this and transit. That was just the hardest part for me.
Thank you, James. How about you, Adela?
Thanks, Denise. I feel like I resonate with some of the things that James shared, like specifically on the transition bit from a work life to a student life. One of the predominant concerns for me was how am I going to embrace this international learning experience, having studied in an Indian education system throughout my life and also worked in India for quite some time. So that was the first concern that I had. But then I have to tell you, like having started school again after work, things kind of like the student in me just came to life, and the whole learning experience was like beautiful. And definitely something that stood out for me was the first term at MAIIC that kind of set pace, like a gentle pace to evolve from like saying a professional into a student. So that was kind of a smooth ride, I can say for sure.
Yeah, so many students actually, not many, but some students come with their families to Victoria when they start the program. And that means they're not only, working on assignments, but maybe kids, or there are spouses, and, there's the life in the home. So how did you guys balance work, home, and school? Because some of the students also start working when they're studying. What was your experience? Would you like to go first, James?
Yes. Okay. Mine was a bit challenging because when I joined the program, my wife was in the UK also studying. And so not having her around and having to balance, because you have to make sure you keep that relationship strong, while at the same time, both of us are pursuing our graduate programs in individual capacity. So how I was able to do it obviously was in the time difference. London is 8 hours ahead of Victoria. So it was always very challenging to keep that time and be able to have time to communicate with her. And obviously when it came to work, I knew for a fact that I'll prioritize my education, but I also need to get that local experience, because that's why we need to be able to formalize what we study in terms of being able to make it more practical when you implement it in a work environment. So I knew at some level I would have to get a job that would be able to help me showcase whatever I've studied and be able to implement it in a work environment just to gain that experience. So I was able to, how I managed to balance it was I was able to allocate my time in this way. I was working I managed to get a job at night, which meant that I was able to communicate, because by the time when I was working nights, it was morning in London. So I was able to create that balance between having a relationship with my wife, while at the same time working part-time, just a couple of hours a week, so that I can be able to formalize everything that I'm studying in the classroom and see whether I can be able to make it more practical in the work environment. And at the same time, I had to make sure that that doesn't affect my studies, because what I knew when I came here from the beginning was I would have to prioritize my studies. That had to come first. Everything else will have to work around it. And so that's how I managed to do it. I had to make sure that, luckily, our courses were mostly in the afternoons. So to me, it worked perfectly because I was able to balance it from allocating, just having a proper time management structure whereby I would switch myself from now having my nights would be my mornings and mornings would be my nights. So I'd be sleeping during the day and transition during the night. It was a bit challenging for about 2 years. I'm still trying to recover from that right now, but yeah, it was something that I knew I had to do at that particular time to be able to get through the program and also create a proper work-life balance.
Yeah, thank you, James. I'm hope you're recovering from it. Yeah. How about you, Adela? How was this to create that balance for you?
Thanks, Denise. Having heard James' experience, this is one question I can say might not be the same for everybody. And so some of the things that kind of helped me like an international student was definitely prioritizing. Like I knew for sure, yes, I'm here for my course, for my graduate, like the studies itself. So that was the priority first. So to kind of balance or sink into like, what was the week like? What was the term like? When were the classes? How can I show up for that? And how can I park my ass for working on assignments and teamwork? Because that, I must tell you, like it takes a major chunk of the week. But I don't want to take away from the fact also that we do have to work as well. And some of us might have to like show up for that. So it's definitely to do with priority and planning. So that was one of the things that kind of helped. And I did have to work part-time hours to like make up for this as well. So it's about also giving yourself enough time to get into the pace of learning the environment first, see yourself like how the classes are and the pace, and then flow into, of course, the work timings. So then the balance will come on itself. And definitely the second bit would be not eating more than you can chew. That will definitely be my thing because I've been there. I've said yes to a lot of things that later I couldn't show up to. But most importantly, I would just say like enjoy the journey, be open to a lot of new stories because in our cohort, we had students from 16 different countries. And it was a very dynamic, like a learning experience in, I would say, the teamwork. Also like personal stories, how everybody went through like the same question like Denise asked, like, how do we balance this? Everybody had a different way to approach it. So the more we communicate with others, we might just find more solutions and help each other. So yeah, thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Adela. I think you're right. I mean, the program is about international and intercultural communication, and you're reading, discussing case studies, all that in the classroom, but you also have students coming from different backgrounds, so you can actually practice your intercultural communication skills as you read about it. So there's this really good combination of theory and practice within the learning environment. But I'd like to ask you both again, what were the most rewarding and most challenging parts of the program? So I want you to be honest. Go ahead, James.
I'll start with the most challenging before I go to the most rewarding because I think it's good to start from that. To me, the most challenging was the course is demanding and it is a communications course, so it does come with a territory. There's plenty of readings and there's a lot of theories that you have to go through. It's important because it gears us towards self-discipline, and I understand the reasons why we have to go through every single reading and every single module. But yes, trying to balance like every assignment, every week you had like 3 or 4 different readings and you have like 2 or 3 modules you're balancing with. So it does get overwhelming. So if you don't, as Adela said, if you don't prioritize your time effectively and you miss your readings like 1 or 2 weeks, catching up will be very difficult. So it was always just about having that self-discipline and making sure that you try and make and you balance that. But to me, that was honestly one of the most challenging, just being able to get through all the readings, because sometimes you'd find like you're not able to for some reason or another, and you have to balance that with the next. The most rewarding, I would honestly say, aside from the fact that we have amazing professors and associate faculty members that understand us and work with us, like everybody knew us by name. Everybody really understood us based on who we were, and they treated us because it became sort of like you're not just a member, but you're part of a unit. And I love that about the whole aspect, because you felt like you're being heard. You're not just you're not just a member in one classroom. The professor or the associate faculty knows you. They know your weaknesses, they know your strengths, and they're there to offer supportive services to help you better yourself. But the most amazing part of it all, I would say, like Adela said, we had 16 people from 16 different countries. These are 16 different cultural diversities, and having the group work. So what you realize about this course is every single semester will be grouped with a couple of cohort members. And with those groups, you end up doing group assignments. And those assignments are geared towards helping you strengthen your synergy, your work, your collaboration with each other. One thing I loved about that is when we started the course, the first semester, and when we finished, to see how everybody evolved, where the first semester, there were those who was weak in public speaking and they were weak in presentation towards the end, everybody, the same people who was weak in public speaking were amazing us, showcasing amazing public speaking abilities. Those who were weak in presentation, they were amazing, putting up incredible presentations. And the reason why they did that is because we worked together. We were all a cohort. We were one among peers. So I knew that Adela was good in design and creativity, and I'm good in public speaking, we would go and bounce off each other. I would learn from her and she would learn from me. And because we're all cohorts together, it helped us create that synergy. And that is important. In the workplace right now, everywhere you go, there's no job description that doesn't involve teamwork and synergy. And that is the best platform for you to start and build that foundation for. So to me, that was the most rewarding, just having to work with amazing cohorts. And I'm all about building like meaningful and productive long-term relationships. And I managed to build a lot of relationships with amazing people who I know will be change makers in every aspect of their life. So I'm very grateful about that aspect.
Thank you, James. I think you're right. I think the classroom offers a safe space to learn working in diverse teams. And when you move to let's say the real world, you get a job and you're suddenly in teams with people from different cultural backgrounds and speaking languages. You already had the experience in the classroom. So I'm glad to hear that it really helps in your careers. How about you, Adela? What is your most rewarding and most challenging examples?
Awesome. So I would definitely love to build off the momentum James built on the collective growth of the whole class. And that was like beautiful to witness. That was definitely the most rewarding. It was not just a win-win for me, but everybody, to see that each of us built that skill set that we weren't so great at the beginning, but we walked off with that. And that really helped with working with the organizations here, be it a nonprofit, be it an indigenous community, or an academic like center, or anything else. And the other bit was definitely some of the aspects, like I would say was rewarding for me, was definitely the faculty to begin with. They were all inspiring, knowledgeable, and supportive throughout the course. And I had the beautiful opportunity of connecting with some of them one-on-one, getting my doubts cleared, like seeking that help. But also flowing into the whole aspect of teamwork. That was really rewarding, like learning from different people, to think differently, like having thought the same way or like within the same cultural belief, but breaking out of it. That was one of the best things that I welcomed, was change. And like James mentioned, it's like on the readings bit, you analyze the readings, you spend time with the readings, you apply them into your assignments, but also like you take it back into your like practical elements as well. And one bit I do want to mention was the fun times we had as a cohort on our field trips. It was very immersive. It kind of brought in depth into more what we were reading about. So that's something I definitely loved about this program. And through the whole aspect, one of the last element I would share about the rewarding aspect is that I got the opportunity to work as a research assistant at RRU. And that was like a wonderful time where I could share my learnings as an MAIC student to like better inform or enhance environmental sustainability practices in Canada. And so the last bit, yes, on the challenging aspect would be, it was just one, now that I recall, was the whole fact of getting used to the APA style guide and the academic style of writing, because having worked in a corporate organization, moving from there to coming into the academic flow, that was very challenging for me, but I was very thankful for the writing center that we have at RRU and even our faculty for the inputs they gave of like, okay, here's a resource, like this is the APA style guide, the academic formats. So that was something that, yeah, I was grateful about. But yeah.
Thank you, Adela. You're right. I think when students first arrive, it takes some time to orient themselves to how we read and write and talk at the academic institutions. And one of them is how we learn to write academic papers. There is a format. I always see that, the first couple of months, students are like, oh, how are we going to do this? But then everybody learns it fast and it just goes on. So thank you very much. Here is my last question. I'm hoping that participants to this meeting are here because they're interested in MAIC, either to maybe study a blended version or be with us on the campus in person. So do you have advice for them considering, for someone or for the participants who are considering to join us at the MAIIC? Let's start with James. What advice do you have?
Oh, yes. So my advice would be, this is an investment in yourself, an investment in your future, and an investment in a career that you feel or you feel strongly about. So my suggestion would be, I would want you to look at this program in this context. Communication is broad, and the communication environment globally with the advent of digital technology and the digital space is becoming ever smaller. So you need to understand that there's going to be more and more need for communicators who are able to communicate effectively in an intercultural level, because you'll be dealing with clients from different regions, different cultural diversities, different spectrums. So you need to be able to communicate effectively, whether it's remotely, whether it's directly, whether you find yourself working in a different environment. Knowing how to communicate effectively from an organizational level to an interpersonal level is key. And that could, because the world is changing and that's where the communication is going. And being in a graduate program means that you need to nurture yourself towards understanding communication from a global perspective, because there are many graduate programs out there, but none that has an international perspective such as MAIC, and there's none out there that will give you that knowledge base whereby you're able to understand how to communicate in a global context, but also in a way that can be able to help you understand how to communicate effectively through different organizational diversities. So to me, I feel like if this is a career choice that you want to make, and it is the most amazing career choice, I always tell people, there's no organization out there that does not have a communication aspect, whether it's public relations, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales, there has to be a communication aspect in every organization. So you need to understand that it's important to do a program that has that global aspect, because you're going to be able to see things in a different perspective and be able to market yourself in a way that you'll be able to understand it in a global level. So to me, I feel like it is an amazing program. The teaching method, the delivery is done with people who are professors and associate lecture faculty who are dedicated and are already change makers in their own fields. They're good at what they do. They're good at the field of where they teach. And the program has been structured in a way that it's able to prepare you for the outside world. So it is a very well thought out program. It is one of its kind, and it is delivered in one of the most amazing institutions in the world. And you will be able to work and study in an environment that gives you peace of mind, that helps you elevate yourself and helps prepare you for the global environment. So to me, I really think that it is the best decision I made for my career. It was the best investment. It did pay off handsomely. And I will always recommend MAIC to anybody I meet out there, because it is one of the most amazing programs out there and delivered by the most amazing faculty members out there.
Thank you, James. Thank you for that. Adela, what do you think?
What a good response, James. I'm just gonna try to build on that, but okay. But yeah, I would definitely say for folks considering this program, be it blended or on campus, definitely read, research as much as you can on our website about the program that's there. And if you can find any interconnectedness or affinity with any of the courses that are there, with what you're already doing, if you're at a field of work or you're already transitioning from a, let's say, an undergrad program. If you feel that there's any course in specific that catches your eye, definitely be open to it, because when you do start this program, there are a plethora of offerings, and the readings which are there, they're definitely a gem. And they bring a very different perspective from where you are. They put you on a very different tangent, and it's a beautiful journey. So yeah, and like I do like echo James on the fact that when you come for this program, you're going to have a beautiful experience, that for sure, an international experience with a cohort from, let's say, a diverse cohort, and more importantly, also a faculty who have, like Deniz mentioned at the start of this webinar, have like taught many cohorts before us, and they've seen many different students. So that's like one of the best support that anybody can receive. And yeah, I would say more importantly, these 18 months will definitely be academically and personally transforming. So all the best to everyone considering this.
Thank you, Adela. Thank you, James, for sharing your experiences and insights about the program. I think one of the things that, you know, I am not a student of the program, but I kind of think, you know, I'm a learner still. One of the things that is important for this program is to come with an open mind, because we sometimes come with our own cultural values and expect that everyone has the same values and everyone will behave the same. But this is a program with diverse, real diversity, and it really offers the chance to reflect on our own cultural values and how we show up, and our, you know, being flexible and learning from each other. So thank you again, Adela, James, for joining us. I do see that there are some questions in the chat already, and I think Ariana has a plan for us. So I'll pass the mic to her. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Deniz. Thanks, James and Adela. That was really wonderful. I'll just pose this question now, and then I'll move on to some information on how to apply in the application process. From Ezra in the chat, for James and Adela, could you please give us more details on your experience for both graduation options on this program? How does the learning project work? How hard is it to find a place to apply this project? Thank you.
I think for me to answer that, I did the research. So both me and Adela did differently. So I did the research paper, and Adela did the learning project. So I'm going to let Adela respond to that, because she has.
Thanks, James. Yes, I was just going to take that up. So moving on to the second question first. Thank you, Ezra. Hope I'm pronouncing your name right. So the learning project was a duration of 6 months, and usually like we have towards the end of the term, end of the program, we have an option to either choose a thesis route or a learning project. And for the learning project, we have the option, the students have the option to reach out to any organization, be it where you are, Victoria, or if you have a chance to work with them remotely in Canada, or even remotely internationally from your own country. You can propose to them saying that I've finished, like I'm completing my MAIIC program, and these are the learnings that I have as an intercultural international student, a communication student, and I would love to learn more and support in a communications capacity. And it usually works in a way that you collaborate with this particular organization, let's say, for the duration of 6 months, and support them with their communication strategies. So what are some communication gaps that they have? So you start with identifying that, and how can you as a student apply your theoretical learnings and the practical learnings from the classroom to this 6 months of a collaborative journey that you're with them. So it'll be mostly like an internship / it's not an internship, but it'll be like an internship opportunity. Yeah, that's just a collaborative effort. I hope that answered your question, Isra. And I would move on to the third question is about how hard is it to find a place to apply this project? So I, for one, can definitely see absolute connectedness between the communication and the learnings that we have to any organization, because I know for sure that be it a corporate organization, a nonprofit, an academic setting, there's always a need for communication support anywhere. And there are communication efforts, initiatives already in place. So it's up to you, like what is the organization that you feel called towards or you're passionate about in that point in time. And while you come here, a lot of folks I know for sure, even the students, they take on volunteer opportunities first. They work with certain organizations, they get a kind of experience or even part-time opportunities. So you get a sense of how the organizations are wired towards. And then you can reach out to any organization with a proposal. And more on that, what are the in-depth steps will, of course, be shared as part of the program. Yeah. Anytime, Mr.
Maybe I can say a few words about the learning project. I think it's an opportunity for the students to put what they have learned theoretically into practice in collaboration with an institution. And it is a very a flexible relationship with that organization. So you're not employed, you're not paid. It's actually not an internship, but you're almost like an outside consultant learning about the organization and its communication needs and developing on your own independently a project that might help them, and actually check with them whether it will really help them. So you might have conversations with them. They might, ask you to join some of the meetings. You might look at some of their documents, and you might identify where you can support them. And this can be from, writing a strategic plan to developing a media campaign, or, developing an event or a training workshop for their, clientele or employees working there. So it can take different forms. It's a communication project, and it helps you understand the organization from very close.
Perfect. Thank you so much to everybody for answering that. Much appreciated. And thanks to Ezra for the question, of course. I'll go ahead and I will share my screen now, folks. We'll just go through a little bit of information on how to apply. So let me get this all set up here. Perfect. So if you're thinking of joining us in either of the programs, the MAIIC or the graduate certificate program, just a little bit of information for you here. I want to say before I get started, of course, all of this information is available on our website at ruralroads.ca on the program pages. So if you need this information at any time, it's there for you. So at Rural Roads, to be admitted into a program, we have both standard and flexible admission. So I'll just touch on both a little bit about what that means and the guidelines for each. So standard admissions is a completion of a 4-year or comparable undergraduate degree from a recognized post-secondary institution, and also the evidence of having sufficient knowledge, skills, and abilities to complete a demanding academic course of study at a master's level. And of course, we heard firsthand a little bit about what that's like from James and Adela. And also work or volunteer experience is an asset. So that's the standard track of admissions. And one of my favorite parts about Rural Roads University is the flexible admission. So folks that do not have an undergraduate degree, but they have more than 3 years or 90 credits of relevant post-secondary education should have at least 3 years of relevant work experience, preferably in a leadership capacity. Or if you're an applicant with 2 to 3 years, 60 to 90 credits of relevant post-secondary education, you should have at least 5 years of experience, relevant work experience in a leadership capacity. And applicants with 2 years of relevant post-secondary education should have at least 10 years of high-level professional communication experience in a leadership capacity. So there are several tracks here, depending on your situation. I should add as well, this is not something that you choose when you apply to Rural Roads. It just offers more individuals a track to come into the program. So not something that you choose, but if you're thinking any of those situations kind of apply to you, you could be eligible to come into the program, depending, of course, on your situation. And I'll also just briefly touch on the English language requirements. So English is the primary language of instruction at Rural Roads University. If your primary language is not English, all applicants must meet our English language requirement one of 3 ways. So by the submission of an official English language proficiency score, or graduation from college or university at which English was the primary language of instruction in an English-speaking country, or the completion of a pathway program through our Global Learning and Language Center at Rural Roads. So a few different avenues for you there. And of course, there's so much more information on that on our website, but that just gives a little brief overview of what we're looking for, if that applies to you. And if you're thinking all of this information sounds super enticing and you're ready to apply, there's a few steps here that we ask you follow if you're looking to apply. Of course, there's an online application fee of $134.01, and then we ask for some supporting documents. So these can be things like official transcripts, a structured resume, and really going into detail on your resume, things like work experience, volunteer experience, or other relevant details there, so we can really get to know you. A personal statement as well, which is kind of like if you were going to apply for a job, it's a bit like your cover letter. So really detailing, why do you want to be in the program? What do you think you can bring into the program? Or any other details there, just gives us a chance to get to know you a bit better. And then 2 letters of reference as well. Those can be either academic or professional. We would like one of each, but sometimes there's 2 of any of the above. And some key dates. So if you are thinking, of course, of joining us in either of the programs here, for the MAIIC, the start date for the blended intake is March 3rd, 2025. And the application deadline is December, which is coming up a lot faster than I thought because summer is almost over, December 3rd, 2024. If you're looking to try the graduate certificate in strategic global communication, same start date and same application deadline for that as well. So either of those options. And then some key dates if you're looking to study on campus for the MAIIC program. The start date is September 2025 and the application deadline a bit further, March 8th, 2025. And of course, we realize going back to school in any capacity is a huge step, right? So we have services that are available to you. My friend Lisa from Enrollment Services is in the chat, been providing a lot of helpful links. So thank you so much to Lisa for your presence and for all the wonderful links there. We have also financial aid and award services. So if you are looking for financial resources in terms of loans, bursaries, scholarships, other awards, we also have things like emergency funding and other funding, because sometimes life happens. You can check that all out at ruralroads.ca/admission/financial aid awards. And then, of course, enrollment services can be reached. I know Lisa provided her email in the chat, but if you're looking for email address, it's learn.more@ruralroads.ca. And if you're looking to give them a call as well, there's some phone numbers for local and for toll-free if you're in North America too. So if you want to give them a call, or you can book an online meeting as well. And they can really help you to narrow down your program options, answer questions about your application, or connect you with students and alumni like James and Adela. And with that, folks, thank you so much to Lisa. I see there's a question in the chat, but Lisa's answered that. That's fantastic. I see there's another question from the chat. So I will, at this point, stop sharing my screen and we can get to those. Perfect. All right, a question from Emanuela. If you have already been accepted in for the March 2025 term, how do we pick our classes and build our schedule? Is there a deadline, a fixed schedule? Thank you. And I invite anybody to jump in here.
I believe that would be the blended program if you're starting in March, right? So if you're accepted, how do you choose your courses? I think Zhenyi would have more input there, but yeah, they receive information from the program.
Yes. Most of the courses are selected for you, and we will have info session regarding your capstone selection in advance. And yeah, I think that's the question you asked.
There are not electives, there are no wait lists. You will be registered into the courses and the schedule is sent. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for answering that. That's great. And Lisa's also posted the program schedule above and posted it again. So thank you so much to Lisa for that. I don't see any other questions in the chat. So at this point, I just want to thank everybody so much. Thank you to Deniz, Zhenyi, James, Adela. You're all so wonderful, such wonderful speakers. It's always an honor to be with you here. So very much appreciate it. Thank you so much to our participants that have tuned in live and on the recording as well. If you are on the recording, thank you for listening to the whole recording. It's wonderful. And of course, we hope to see you in the program. If you're not in the program already, we hope to see you there soon. So with that, I will say thank you so much. And I just want to invite Deniz or Zhenyi, if you have any last words for the participants today before we finish off here.
To you, Zhenyi.
Well, just don't hesitate to email your questions, and we will be more than happy to answer. I know it's a big decision, and I think both Deniz and I were international students before as well, and it's a big move, big decision, a lot of things to consider. And but then you won't regret if you make an informed decision. Another thing is there are other master's degree program at Railroads, and also don't hesitate to ask and see if you are interested in those programs. We also have interdisciplinary studies master's degree program, which you can select and assemble courses you are interested in from Railroads. So a lot of information actually. Please do your research and please don't hesitate to ask. I think that's the most important.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks to Deniz as well and everybody. We appreciate you so much for tuning in. And with that, folks, I will sign off today. But of course, we hope to see you in the program and see you in a webinar next time. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day.